Chat me around 9 and 10. MGK a wild boy. Nigga, we some wild men. About to get alive again. Just like the Irishman. Used to call me Benjamin. Charlie was a rider man. Nigga try to end me for the money. Call a fireman.
Alright, so baby should be talking about that.
Sit your little bitch ass down, nigga. Please, let's get it. Can't spell power without the AR. Vote me for mayor. Taking helicopters down with a little laser. Hand the cannon, I'm holding bigger than fucking mega. Yaga, the liquor, but the shots will make you stagger. For my little brother, it's like you little partners. Real bright, 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 baby. Y'all watch Empire, it's not like rocks. These are enemy lines, nobody can cross it. So clips like bitches with diction. Murder gang sick shit. Got me reading the words of my victim lip syncs. Kitchen sit murders sitting in the vehicle. Plotting on people. Taking your breath possession like a reaper. Kneeling with the hammer. Call it Tim Tebow. Illegal. Everything I'm doing is illegal. Kneeling with the hammer. Call it Tim Tebow. Holding on the hammer. Call it Home Depot. I'm at the bar ordering a Heineken. Waiting for the fiend to fall back. I was timing it. Fronting them a double set of chat me around 9 and 10. MGK a wild boy. Nigga, we some wild men. About to get alive again. Rifles like the Irish. Used to call me Benjamin, but Charlie was a rider man. Niggas try to end me for the money, call a fireman. I put my fucking flamer. Go ahead and try it then. By all means, do you. I'm creeping through the field, shot the Zulu. Cruising in the Subaru. Murder gang, crowbar swords and get for bobos. You lose. Tell you what, kind of like two shoes. Listen, Junior is easy to hire shooters to whack you. Right now, I'd rather smack you. Don't even attempt, I won't doubt. Really, I don't have to. Slap the kids so hard, I put a wonder, call him Matthew. Subliminal. Murder gang squad in the fact, I set it up to win no box. You block the follow my dialect, my number, you ain't dial yet. That judge ain't fire yet. By the end of this track, a motherfucker buying it. That bitch holds hinges and a couple 45s in it. Catch a couple pieces, but I'll beat him if I'm hiding it. In the L spot, nigga, know for the kill shot. Cause I'm the nigga that shot Jack and chill off the hilltop. Lil Red Rider Hood was Rider Hood. The song blew her up now. She ain't riding through the hood. And Woody Woodpecker was a fag while Batman got chest and panties over his pants. Spidey was a swinger. Wolverine is a nigga that's obvious, so they ain't gotta mention Master Splinter. More like Master Shredder in my mouth, my dead bro blast of cheddar. Trying to look at is better. Yeah, I'm sitting in the vehicle, plotting on people. Taking your past possession like a reaper. Kneeling with the hammer. Call it Tim Tebow. Pulling on the hammer. Call it Home Depot. Everything I'm doing is illegal. Everything I'm doing is illegal. Kneeling with the hammer. Call it Tim Tebow. Pulling on the hammer. Call it Home Depot.
So I don't know why it says I have like 2,000 live videos. I don't. Every time I go to start something, it doesn't work. And then sometimes I can go back to the manage thing and do it. And when I look at them and it says, oh, you're live already. But I'm not live. I know I'm not live because I won't be able to go live. It's so fucking... I guess we don't get any advertising. Well, I hope he's 2 minutes late and this is running. Hell, can you just play the drive? Fuck. Oh, you forgot. This is the video that's already need something new thinking, apparently. Retailers are turning to the cloud to reach. I can't read out. Teachers are working with AI. Uh-oh. Really? Who's Al? Why is it a capital? Hold on. It's not all we can do, but it's a start. Here's the other thing. Why is the uppercase, the uppercase? Let's put smart to work. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. Oh. Yay, it's working.
To follow up on each case. We're now exceeding our target of reaching 90% of cases within 24 hours, but we need to keep going. Testing and contact tracing is critical. Building this capacity will help us stop the virus in its tracks. And today, we're launching our government's enhanced case management and contact tracing strategy. This strategy will help us strengthen and support contact tracing, giving us the ability to consistently and reliably track cases of COVID-19. It's absolutely critical to have this capacity as we begin to reopen more regions of our province. And the federal government has offered us an additional support of up to 1,700 Stats Canada personnel.
Oh, wow.
These are absolute pros at data collection. They speak 35 different languages, and they can make up to 20,000 calls a day. And I have to thank Stats Canada for stepping up and the federal government. As part of this strategy, we're launching a new Made in Ontario app for contact tracing called COVID Alert. I want to be clear, personal privacy was our #1 priority as we worked to develop this app. In partnership with the federal government, this Made in Ontario app will alert Ontarians and Canadians if they've been exposed to someone who has tested positive for COVID-19 in the last 14 days. The data will be anonymous and protect the privacy of the users. That was the top of the list when we looked at apps, protecting people's privacy. I have to recognize the folks at the Ontario Digital Service and our Chief Digital Officer, Hillary Hartley, and the incredible volunteers from Shopify who developed the state-of-the-art technology right here in Ontario. I really want to thank CEO of Shopify, Toby Luque, for his leadership and for donating their time to keep Canada safe. This is just one example of our best and brightest working together to find Made in Ontario solutions. We won't be reliant on anyone else. We can build anything here in Ontario. We'll have more details about the app to share in the coming days. With the expanded strategy in place, businesses, workers, and families will have the confidence they need to open their businesses and resume their daily lives. And I have to thank all our medical lab technicians, those working in our assessment centers, the hardworking people at Ontario Health, and our public health units. You're absolute champions. Thank you for everything you do, day in and day out. Thank you, and God bless the people of Ontario. Now I'll turn it over to Minister Elliott.
Thank you, Premier, and good afternoon, everyone. Together, we're making tremendous progress in our shared fight against COVID-19. For the 5th straight day, Ontario has reported fewer than 200 new cases of the virus, and we continue to see a persistent decline in the number of active cases in the province. This progress is no accident. It's the result of the hard work and dedication of every Ontarian to stay safe by practicing physical distancing and following public health guidelines. While considerable, however, these efforts aren't enough on their own. Early detection of and containing new cases of this virus have been and will remain critical as we look to put a stop to the spread of COVID-19. That is why we significantly expanded testing. Now we are enhancing case and contact management. As we begin to reopen the province, the number of contacts per case is expected to increase. As they do, it's never been more important to ensure that Ontarians and public health units have the additional resources, tools, and support they need to keep themselves and their communities safe. Our new case and contact management strategy is going to help us do that by ensuring that all new cases are reached within 24 hours and all close contacts are identified early so they can get tested. And it will ensure that those cases receive follow-up contact for 14 days. It will provide our public health units with additional staffing resources and significantly improve the technology we use to track and report new cases. We are finally getting on with the long overdue work of replacing outdated systems that no longer meet the needs of public health units. We are replacing the integrated public health information system introduced 15 years ago with a new custom-built case and contact management system. Implementation of this new system will begin almost immediately, with the first wave of public health units going live as early as mid-July. A Made in Ontario app will equip the public with a new and innovative tool to alert them when they may have been exposed to COVID-19 and provide users with quick access to public health advice and next steps. Combined, these initiatives will drastically enhance our ability to detect and contain new cases of this virus. As we do, we will continue to protect the health and well-being of all Ontarians. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to the phone line for questions.
I'm just gonna, I just want to acknowledge a couple of people. Before I take questions, my friends, I'd like to do a shout out to Maureen Cohen and the Cohen Foundation. They're making a $5 million donation to Conestoga College to help train more personal support workers, and that's incredible news. They're going to train 2,000 more PSWs over 5 years, and that's going to be a huge help for long-term care sector and seniors. And so thank you very much, Maureen, and your family. And this one's for your mother, Frances. So thank you. Another quick shout out. My friends, there's never a time that we need more philanthropy than we do now. And I just want to thank all the families out there that are donating. I was at the Cordalucci Vaughan Hospital the other day, revealing the name, and the Cordalucci family donated $40 million to the new Cordalucci Vaughan Hospital. So again, thank you. And there's so many other people out there that are helping, charitable organizations, helping hospitals. That's the true Ontario spirit. So thank you very much for that. We'll take questions now.
Okay, first question.
Your first question comes from Haley Cooper with News Talk 1010. Please go ahead.
Hi, Haley.
Thank you. Hi, Premier. The potential to expand contact tracing with this app is absolutely incredible, but it does depend solely on the goodwill of people signing up for the app and then deciding to send out push notifications if they test positive. And people these days are very skeptical of technology, not to mention it can be a bit of a struggle getting people to do the right thing. We're still seeing so many people out there without masks on. So what's your level of hope that people will really sign on to this?
Well, I really hope, because there's really three parts to this. If we want to protect Ontario, we want to protect our families and the people of Ontario, 3 areas. Health, which includes PPEs, the ICU capacity, and then testing. Testing is absolutely critical. And the third part is contact tracing. And, I'm so pleased today. I really am. I just want to thank the leadership of Dr. Williams and Dr. Dirk, as I joked around the other day, but he kind of liked that Dr. Dirk. So Dr. Dirk and Matt Anderson and the whole team, it's like a well-oiled machine right now, moving. Everything's come together. At the beginning, there was bumps in the road, but man, I'm just so impressed with the team out there. And you're right. If we don't have the cooperation of the people of Ontario, we put ourselves more at risk. So it's a simple download the app, and it's 100% private. That was our number one issue right at the get-go. We said that there has to be privacy, because I know how important that is to people. And there's 100% privacy when it comes to this app, and we're just going to continue promoting it. And, we need people to download this app. It's going to protect us. It's going to protect your families.
You need hackers to download it, figure out.
Thank you. And my follow-up, why now and not earlier? Is it because the threat of the second wave is becoming more significant, so the province is getting this app in place and getting ready for that second wave in the fall?
No, not at all. Our digital team in Ontario worked with Shopify. Shopify actually donated some of the brightest people they have at their company, and we worked hand in hand with them. So this has been an ongoing process. Privacy was the number one concern. They nailed that. And it's going to be an app that everyone in Canada is using. They've adopted it over at the federal government, and I want to appreciate their cooperation. And I just think this is amazing if everyone uses it. But everyone's cooperated right from day one with COVID-19. So let's all stick together and keep moving forward, because it's going to protect us. And we have the other systems just going like a well-oiled machine. Now we need the contact tracing, and we can't do it without your help.
Next question.
Your next question comes from Kathy Tomlinson with the Globe and Mail. Please go ahead.
Hi, Kathy.
Hi, Premier. I'm hoping you'll respond to a question about the opioid crisis.
Okay, we'll give it a shot.
An investigation into workers' compensation that we published today found that many cases there were injured workers who became addicted to opioids after being sent back to work by Ontario's WSIB too early. And they were still injured, still in pain. They took opioid painkillers to cope, and some died of overdoses or suicide. So what, if anything, would you like to see government do to address this?
Well, I'm going to hand this over to the Minister of Health. Thank you.
Well, this still is a significant concern, mental health and addictions issues. We want to make sure that we can help people to, first of all, not become dependent on opioids, but if they are, to provide them with the assistance that they need. We introduced our roadmap to wellness, our help for people with mental health and addictions concerns just before the outset of COVID-19. We are going back to that now because we know that this is going to be accelerated, that there are going to be more people with mental health and addictions concerns resulting from a lot of issues, partly from being inside for a long period of time, isolated from friends and family. Sometimes it's financial hardship that they've lost their job and they don't have any income. So we are looking at bringing that forward once again to make sure that people can have the supports that they need, anticipating an extra response and need coming from COVID-19.
So it's not COVID-19, if I could just have you address the more broad problem of injured workers who become addicted to opioids because they're in pain. And many, many people told us, and we looked at hundreds of cases across the country and many in Ontario, where they went back to work too early, and that was because the WSAB expected them to, and they took opioids to cope and then became addicted, and some have died. So what would you like to see change in that particular system, or what can you change in that particular system? Please be specific.
I think that it's really important that we all expand our knowledge of addiction to opioids, how people get into that situation, how it can happen to anyone from an injury when they're in pain, where they start taking opioids to deal with pain, from the prescription to the continued use of it. I think there's still a lot that we have to learn. That's what we're hoping with our roadmap to wellness, and that will help inform us in many respects, including with respect to WSIB.
Next question.
Your next question comes from Mike Crawley with CBC News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mike.
Yes, hi, Premier. Your government has put out a notice saying that you'd like to try to get the legislature to approve an extension of the state of emergency. And in the note that was sent out, it was said that you're hopeful that this will be the last extension of the state of emergency. I wonder if you could clarify, though, how could you continue to have restrictions on things like large gatherings, which your government has indicated would be canceled for the foreseeable future if there isn't some sort of emergency legislation?
Yeah, well, that's a good point, Mike. How it works, and hopefully this will be the last time. Anything we take off, any orders we take off, we can't put back on, but the ones that are in place can continue moving forward. So that's how that works.
Okay.
Wow.
On another note related to long-term care, there are these significant restrictions on people going into long-term care homes, and you've had situations where family members have before the pandemic, provided essential care to their loved ones in long-term care homes. Should the province be doing more to make sure that these family members are able to get back inside facilities to help care for these seniors?
So we're as you know, we're moving forward on that, but our number one priority, Mike, is to protect the seniors there in the long-term care. It's absolutely critical, or seniors residents, and we just don't want another outbreak. We're finally getting our arms around this, and they're doing a good job, but we just can't have a flare-up with people coming in and coming out. So we're being cautious. and having one family member meet their loved ones, and then I guess they can take turns doing that on long-term care.
Next question.
2 weeks ago, I can go on.
Your next question comes from Cynthia Mulligan with City News. Please go ahead.
Hi, Cynthia.
Hello, Premier. I'm sure I heard you and the Prime Minister say that the more people that sign up for this app, the more effective it will be.
Yes.
Is there a magic number? Is it
No,
60, 70, 80% where it will be the most and truly effective?
Well, I'll pass this over to Dr. Williams.
What's the most of one?
So our federal counterparts, we're looking at the aspect and the use of this, looking at other jurisdictions that have tried other apps, and to see what is a core metric that is necessary to show its effectiveness. The actual number isn't there yet. It's an adjunct to our case contact management. So we're really interested in driving forward, as the Premier said, pioneering this in Ontario and seeing how the impact it is, and really engaging our Ontarians as they have, as the Premier said, all along with our steps with the stay at home, the distancing, the hand hygiene, now into the social gatherings and into the social circles. So all along, Ontarians are engaged, want to be engaged, and this is just another tool, and we really want to understand how effective this is going to be as we launch it shortly.
Okay, thank you. And I'm not sure, Premier, if you still want Dr. Williams to answer this question, or maybe I could hear from both of you. Other areas that do have an app, do you have any sense of what the buy-in is and what percentage of the population is downloading the app? And have you done any polling to see what the interest would be versus the concern for privacy?
Well, first of all, I can just tell you the numbers. I believe out in Alberta there were, I think it was 11%, somewhere around there. But I'm going to pass this one back to Dr. Williams. Thank you.
So there are some that are used in Canada thus far. As the Premier said, in Alberta, they've had one run on that, and we're looking at their data to see how it's showing over time. It's never just at the moment. It has to build up and escalate and get its usage up and the public's adoption of it. The other countries have tried other apps, and some of those have been tied to different functions in government. And I think, as the Premier noted, one of the things we really want to address is that the concern about the public for their privacy, and this is obviously a big thing, and it's important to the public. And as the Premier said, this is of primary importance in our time selecting with this app, that it would ensure and continue to do that in that regard. So these are areas we're broaching into, and we want to see how that works as compared to some of the other countries and jurisdictions. But we're all learning from each other. This is a new thing, and we want to see how the public embrace this and who can utilize this best for their protection and to get our numbers right down and beat COVID-19, as the Premier said.
Next question.
Your next question comes from Emma McIntosh with National Observer. Please go ahead.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, Premier. Thank you for taking my question.
Thank you.
This week, your government restored some environmental protections that it suspended in April. And I know that the government has released some of the changes that it made while those protections were suspended, but I'm wondering, are you able to tell me if the government made any other changes related to the environment that haven't been disclosed?
Not right now. There's always changes. Everything's on the table. We've always, one of our highest priorities is protect the environment. And we're going to continue doing that. That's going to be a high priority for this government. I think we've shown that since we've been in office. We're doing everything we can. We have a great minister, Minister York, a very smart individual. So he's doing a great job. But again, everything is on the table right now. We'll always, by the way, when I say that, our top priority is protect the environment. That's, I'll give you an example, the Greenbelt. We said we weren't going to touch the Greenbelt. I will never touch the Greenbelt. Simple as that.
There's so many empty lots in this fucking city. There's no way.
Now, the opposition members have called for the government to commit to releasing a full list of every single environment-related change related to COVID-19 or otherwise that your government made during this period when it didn't have to disclose changes made to the environment. I'm wondering if you can commit to doing that.
Well, we've been pretty transparent all the way through this, so we have no problem. Anything that's put out there, people will know about it, and that's how we're going to continue moving forward.
Next question.
Thanks, Premier.
Thank you.
Your next question comes from Allison Jones with the Canadian Press. Please go ahead.
Hi, Alison.
Hi, Premier. So much of the spread of COVID-19 that we've seen in Ontario has been in long-term care homes and other congregate living settings where people may not have state-of-the-art smartphones. So are you concerned that that is going to limit the usefulness of this app?
Oh, again, Alison, I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Williams. Thank you.
The people in the congregate settings in the long-term care homes, those are outbreak situations, and they are confined, they're in those locations. The risk that we saw with long-term care homes was staff and other people bringing it in from the community. Sometimes, and most time, they either thought they weren't infected, they were unaware that they might have been in contact with someone. So the app is more appropriate for helping them to be aware if and when we open up even more visitation, so that that doesn't occur again and there's not an inflow of infection into these homes, and where susceptible individuals would be obtaining the infection and suffering morbidity. And unfortunately, we've seen the long-term care homes mortality as well. So it's more for the people in the community that they do not are alerted, and they would not bring it in and harm those individuals.
And you've been listening to Queen's Park and the Premier's daily update here from Queen's Park. The Premier confirming that the province is going to be launching up a beefed up contact tracing strategy with help from the federal government. It is all based on a Made in Ontario app. We'll have more details on that, he says, in the coming days. And more on the app itself and the current case numbers coming up in just a few moments with our Stuart McGinn. In the meantime, let's take a look at the Ontario forecast, or the Toronto forecast for the day today. We are looking at plenty of sunshine and a high of 29, guaranteed high of 29. Clear tonight and down to 16. Tomorrow, sunny and 30. Right now in downtown Toronto, sunny and 26. 680 News Time, 1:30.
Number one for news in Toronto. This is 680 News.
Here are Sarah Paris and Steve Roberts. Good afternoon. It's Thursday, June 18th.
Well, good afternoon. Here's what's making news right now.
Children are among the victims with life-threatening injuries after a multi-vehicle crash in Brampton at Torbram and Countryside Drive.
Contact tracing through your phone. Canada is launching a new app to track COVID-19 exposure and says your privacy is the top priority. Come tomorrow, you know what you can say to your friends?
Let's go to the mall.
Some GTA malls will reopen, but with extra pandemic measures in place.
Will baseball get it figured out this time? And the Pistons are set to bring in a new GM. Sports at 45.
The Dow really trying to move higher. The NASDAQ higher for a fifth straight day. And Bay Street is holding on to a modest gain. Business at 56.
680 News Time, 1:31.
Time for traffic and weather together, all the ones. Here's Carrie Prunskis.
This report is brought to you by Leon's Furniture. Watch out for a problem on the northbound 427. It's just north of the Gardner in the collectors, and the left lane blocked here because of a collision. Emergency crews are on the scene. Just a bit of a slowdown as you approach this problem. Again, it's northbound on the 427, north of the Gardner in the collector lanes. Traveling the eastbound 401, expect delays across the city from Kipling to the 400 express and collectors, and it's jam-packed heading into Port Hope. Eastbound 401 east of Wesleyville, it's reduced to one lane for paving work. A heavy delay from approaching the Port Hope en route to eastbound Highway 2. That's still moving much better, so use that instead. And a heads up on a ramp closure. Eastbound 407, the ramp to Mississauga Road, that's closed because of construction. We also have construction westbound on Finch, just west of the 400. It's reduced to a single lane, so it's jammed westbound Finch from just west of Jane to west of the 400, and a heavy backup southbound 400 on the ramp to Finch. In Brampton, the intersection of Torbram and Countryside, that remains closed off in all directions for a collision investigation. And a fairly new problem on city streets at Wilson and Avenue Road. That intersection is partially blocked because of a collision. You can still get through, but it is starting to get packed up as you approach that intersection. And also a heads up on construction in Hamilton, westbound 403, west of Highway 6 North. 2 left lanes are closed. A heavy backup from Waterdown, and no access from southbound Highway 6 South to the westbound 403. That ramp is closed off because of that construction project. Leon's anniversary sale is on now. Shop anniversary specials throughout the showroom on furniture, mattresses, and appliances. Shop safely in-store or online. Visit leons.ca for details. And now with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
Sunny and very warm for us today. The guaranteed high 29 degrees for tonight, clear and 16 for today. The guaranteed high 29.
Right now in downtown Toronto, it is sunny and 26 degrees. Out at Pearson Airport right now, sunny and 26 as well. 6:80 news time, 1:33.
We have breaking news from Brampton, where a multi-vehicle crash has left several people, including children, with life-threatening injuries.
That's what happened at Torbram Road and Countryside Drive just after the noon hour today. 680's Irene Precklett on the story for us, joining us live now with more details. Irene.
And Steve. And Steve, the crash happening right in the intersection. One of the vehicles involved has a light pole on its roof. 4 people injured, and the injuries are very serious. That, let me just get you. Here is Akil Mukan.
Four individuals, including children, that are suffering from life-threatening injuries at this time. Those individuals have been transported to hospital, again, as I mentioned, in life-threatening conditions.
And again, this crash happening right in the intersection of Torbram and Countryside Drive. Constable Mukan says people should avoid the area because this is such a serious crash with such terrible injuries. It is going to be some time as investigators try to piece exactly what happened. So to recap, we've got a multi-vehicle crash. One of the vehicles, a light pole on its roof. 4 people have life-threatening injuries, among those victims, children. Reporting live, Irene Precklett, 680 News. 680 News time, 1:34. A new mobile app to help track the spread of COVID-19 is being launched in Ontario soon before a nationwide rollout. This comes as the province reports 173 new cases today, the lowest number since late March. But while we're making strides, the city of Toronto has hit a tragic milestone today, marking 1,000 deaths. 680 Stuart McGinn is going to join us live now with the latest on this new app. Stuart.
Sarah, privacy first. That's what we've heard from both the federal and provincial governments as they're announcing this new app today. It will use Bluetooth to notify users if they've been within 2 meters of someone that has tested positive for COVID-19, but location-based data will not be collected by the government. The app is being called COVID Alert, and after being made in Ontario in partnership with BlackBerry and Shopify, it'll be rolled out here in this province for testing as of July 2nd. Following that, the app will be slowly released nationally to a small batch of other public health units by mid-July and then across the country within the next few months. The app will be used to encourage anyone exposed to someone with COVID-19 to themselves to go get tested, and staff at the federal government will also follow up with people who've been exposed over a period of 14 days. The big caveat is this app only works well with as many people as possible using it. So in the coming weeks and months, we'll see lots of encouragement from both the provincial and federal governments for people to download this app. They say it's simple. You download it, it's in the background, and there's nothing else you have to do. And again, reiterating that privacy is of the utmost importance in developing this new app. Reporting live, Stuart McGinn, 680 News.
You're listening to 680 News. Well, malls in Durham, York, and Halton all preparing to reopen tomorrow as part of those regions that are allowed to move into stage number 2. But of course, it's going to look and feel very different for a lot of shoppers out there. Our Momin Qureshi joining us live now with just how different it's going to be. Momin.
Steve, malls that will be opening tomorrow include Vaughan Mills, Upper Canada Mall, and Markville, so people who need their shopping fix can hit there. Food, fun, and fashion, the mall has it all.
Wait a second.
Now, when you hit up the malls, you'll be faced with a bit of a different experience. I had a chance to talk to Kelly Vieira. He's the GM of Markville Mall.
Increased cleaning and hygiene practices. We're putting physical distancing measures in place in all areas of the mall. We're basically looking to ensure that we can keep our physical distancing in place.
He says they'll only have 4 entrances open to control the flow in and out of the mall, as well as markers on them in the mall to control where you can go. The food court itself, only takeout, so none of the tables will be used. And he says the mall will be running on reduced hours. If you want to know if your local mall is open, the best thing to do is to hit up their website and get the details. The Vieira even says they only expect about 1/3 of stores to be open tomorrow. Reporting live, I'm Momin Qureshi.
Well, it's being called the largest fentanyl seizure ever by police in Ontario. The investigation, which began in April, was nicknamed Project Javelin, and it focused on the GTA and British Columbia. It involved many police forces, including the OPP, Toronto Police, as well as those in Halton, Peel, York, and Durham. 3 people have been arrested, 2 from Burlington, the other one from Toronto. Police say they seized almost 124,000 fentanyl pills and 70 kilograms of fentanyl powder.
Well, Toronto police say a pedestrian is in hospital today with serious head injuries after she was struck by a vehicle in the Upper Beaches this morning. Emergency crews got called out to the Woodbine and Kingston Road area around 10 o'clock. They say a woman in her 60s was taken to a trauma center with what's described right now as non-life-threatening injuries. Police say Woodbine now has reopened at Corley Avenue.
This is 680 News. Racism in the spotlight once again in the House of Commons chamber as the NDP and Bloc Québécois face off for a second day after the Democrat leader accused a Bloc MP of being racist. Here's our Parliament Hill reporter, Cormac McSweeney.
The Bloc Québécois on the defensive today after one of their members denied consent for a motion to address systemic racism in Canada. It led to NDP leader Jagmeet Singh accusing the Bloc MP of being racist, then being booted from the House of Commons for refusing to apologize. BQ leader Yves-François Blanchet denies his party or his MP are racist, saying they blocked consent because there's already a committee study underway on this, and he demands Singh apologize.
Somehow dropped the ball, and I hope he will take it back.
But since Singh is not apologizing, the BQ tried again to get the speaker to prevent him from being recognized in the House of Commons at today's COVID-19 committee. The speaker refused, saying there are different procedures, and the NDP leader used his time to question the Prime Minister.
To address the systemic racism in the RCMP.
Right Honourable Prime Minister. Yes, Mr. Speaker. We need to take concrete action right away.
The Prime Minister criticizing the Bloc Québécois for denying systemic racism and says he won't criticize Singh for speaking out. Cormac McSweeney, Parliament Hill.
And in the U.S., a major loss today in the Supreme Court for the Trump administration.
In a 5-4 opinion, the Supreme Court decided the Trump administration gave insufficient justifications for ending deferred action for childhood arrivals, President Obama's program to protect hundreds of thousands of young immigrants from deportation. Chief Justice Roberts said, "We do not decide whether DACA or its rescission are sound policies. Rather," he said, "the court only addressed whether the Department of Homeland Security complied with the procedural requirement that it provide a reasoned explanation for its action. And the court said it did not, but left open the possibility the administration could try again." Aaron Katursky, ABC News, New York.
Now the 680 News gas price update, and Pro predicts the price will go up 1 cent at midnight to $1.02.9 a liter.
680 News Time, 1:40.
Hear that? That's the sound of heavy rain, making its way through cracks in your foundation, dripping down the walls, and flooding your newly finished basement. That's the sound of floodwater backing up the floor drain, fountaining out of your drain cover, and covering your laundry room in sewage. If you don't like the sounds of a basement flood, find out what you can do to prevent it. Go to toronto.ca/basement flooding.
680 News Time, 1:41.
Time for traffic and weather together on the ones. Here's Carrie Prunskis. This report is brought to you by Leon's. Emergency crews are battling a large grass fire. This is in the 401 and 407 area, so a lot of smoke is filling the air here, and that's slowing traffic down on the 400 in both directions. Northbound 400 gets heavy from Finch up to the 407, and on the southbound 400 expect delays from Highway 7 down to Steeles. Again, it's a grass fire that's in that area. We had an update from York Regional Police saying everything seems to be under control, but the fire is not completely out yet, so you're still dealing with that smoke in the air, which is reducing visibility. So keep that in mind in the 400 and 401 area, 400 and 407 area rather. If you're traveling the eastbound 401, we have a new problem east of Yonge in the Express. The right lane is blocked, and that's because of a stalled truck. Looking at delays on the eastbound 401 from Kipling to the 400 Express and Collectors, and now it's getting jammed up approaching Yonge to east of Yonge in the express lanes where we have that problem, and heading into
Port Hope, eastbound 401, it's jam-packed from approaching the Port Hope en route to approaching Toronto Road. Only one lane is getting through that stretch because of paving work. Westbound on the 401, not doing too badly across the city. It's heavy into Mississauga, approaching here Ontario and the collectors to west of Mavis. And heading out of the city on the westbound Lakeshore at Jameson, the left lane is closed for pothole repairs. It doesn't look too bad in terms of delays, but just watch out for those crews that are working. You will find a heavy backup westbound on the 403 into Hamilton. There's construction west of Highway 6 North. 2 left lanes are closed. It's jam solid from Waterdown. And with this construction, the southbound Highway 6 South ramp to the westbound 403, that's shut down. In Brampton, the intersection of Torbram and Countryside remains closed in all directions, all because of a collision investigation. Another crash at the intersection of Wilson and Avenue Road. It's partially blocked. Leon's anniversary sale is on now. Shop anniversary specials throughout the showroom on furniture, mattresses, and appliances. Shop safely in-store or online. Visit leons.ca for details. And now with the forecast, here's Jill Taylor.
Heat and humidity continues to build with sunshine. The guaranteed high 29 will feel like 33. For tonight, clear and 16. Still comfortable for sleeping. Mainly sunny tomorrow. Slight chance of showers, mainly north GTA. High 30 will feel like 34. For today, the guaranteed high 29.
Sunshine right now in downtown Toronto and 26 degrees. It's sunny and 27 at Pearson. 680 News Time 1:43.
And now the Scotia iTrade Market Minute, live for the Business Center. Here's Chris McCusker.
Well, Sarah, the TSX continues to hit new highs for the day. Now, everything in perspective, it's still a very modest gain on Bay Street, but it's right now higher by 88 points, 15,516. So it's up by about 0.6%. And that makes it the best performer in North America as it stands right now. The NASDAQ up by 1/3% or 32 points. The S&P is down 0.5 point, and the Dow off by 27. Price for gold is lower by $5, $17.30. Oil is higher by 65 cents, $38.61. And the Canadian dollar down by 1/5 cent now, 73.51 cents US. At the Business Center, I'm Chris McCusker.
Direct invest with Scotia iTrade. Get started in 3 easy steps and begin your investing journey from home today. Learn more at scotiaitrade.com.
I'm cardiologist Dr. Sharon Rambahar on behalf of Heart and Stroke. During the pandemic, people with heart conditions or stroke are suffering at home, too afraid to seek help, risking irreversible harm and causing complications not seen for decades. Hospitals have taken extra precautions to treat patients safely. Call 911 if you or someone you know is experiencing signs of heart attack, stroke, or cardiac arrest. Do not let COVID-19 destroy more lives. Learn more at heartandstroke.ca.
Keep on top of the world from your home or office. Eton Elite Traveler offers the best performance in radio reception and audio quality and has the looks to match with an elegant leather case and craftsman stitching that signifies style in its finest form. Whether you're listening to a local radio station or signals from a faraway land, make Eton's radios your go-to source. Listen to the world. The Elite Traveler Radio is available online at ca.etoncorp.com. Order yours today.
This is Home News Radio, 680 News.
A sunny sky in downtown Toronto. It's 26 degrees. Good afternoon from the 680 News Broadcast Center. I'm Sarah Parrott.
And I'm Steve Roberts. Here are the top stories right now.
Well, 4 people, including children, have life-threatening injuries following a multi-vehicle crash in Brampton. This happened just after noon today at Torbram Road and Countryside Drive. That intersection is currently closed for the investigation. A new mobile app that will alert Canadians if they've come into contact with someone who has COVID-19 will first launch here in Ontario before going nationwide. The app, which is voluntary, will be available in Ontario 2 weeks from today on July the 2nd. Time now for 680 Sports from Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Here's Andrew Dye.
Sarah, CFL Commissioner Randy Ambrosie released a statement today, an update on the league's attempt to hold a shortened 2020 season. Ambrosie said they're still trying to determine if it's safe and financially viable to play. The commission also acknowledged the players' desire for some certainty and said the league wants to make a decision as soon as possible. He also said the league is working with the CFLPA and asking the federal government to change the criteria for its wage subsidy program so that the players are fully eligible. He added each member of the CFL's executive committee took a voluntary 20% pay cut in April, himself included. Well, they might be talking the same language now, but MLB remains at odds with the players. Commissioner Rob Manfred thought he had the framework of the deal agreed to, but the union does not agree yet. The offer is 60 games by 19th or 20th, full prorated salaries, playoff money as well, and in a settlement, both sides would agree to waive their right to grieve. The Columbus Blue Jackets have officially activated defenseman Seth Jones and Dean Kukan off injured reserve. Jones missed the past 14 games of the regular season with an ankle injury. The Maple Leafs will face the Blue Jackets in the NHL's play-in round. The Detroit Pistons have a new general manager, hiring Troy Weaver on a 4-year deal. He comes from Oklahoma City, where he was the VP of basketball operations. And happening now in round 1 at the RBC Heritage, Ian Poulter in the clubhouse with a 764. He's tied with Mark Hubbard, who is 700 through 17. They have a one-shot lead. Updating the Canadian content. Currently, Adam Hadwin is even through 1, Mackenzie Hughes 1 under through 4, while Roger Sloan opened with a 1 under 70. Sports at 15 and 45 past every hour or anytime at sportsnet.ca/590.
Rona asked renovators how good they're feeling about getting outside this summer. Are you kidding? Radio. Oh, sorry. Look at my smile. No, they can't see you. Hey, dude. You're killing the vibe. With parcel and trucking you need for backyard projects at Rona.ca. Do more at home, outside. Conditions apply.
Record Express sets the standard for safe, secure, and fast document management solutions, including shredding. With the latest in compact shredding technology, Record Express offers no contact shredding service you can trust, with a certificate of destruction so you know the job is done right. Reliable, same day, confidential, and secure. Trust your document shredding to Record Express. Visit recordexpress.ca for their free shredding offer. That's recordexpress.ca. Shop Canadian. Shred Canadian. Simply the best. Record Express.
680 News Time, 1:49. The Toronto Ombudsman will review the city's investigation into allegations of racial profiling at Centennial Park earlier this week. Cell phone video captured of the incident shows a white bylaw officer confronting 2 black women, accusing them of trespassing. They say they were singled out and threatened. Toronto spokesperson Brad Ross says the city is working to retain a third-party investigator and welcomes oversight from the Ombudsman. Well, COVID-19 continues to push the projected federal deficit higher. Let's get details from 680 Business editor Chris McCusker.
The parliamentary budget officer says this year's federal deficit could hit $256 billion, up from a prior forecast of $252 billion. The result is a combination of an estimated total of $169 billion in federal spending on emergency aid and an historic drop in economic output. The budget office estimates the economy could shrink by 6.8% in 2020, which would be the weakest showing since 1981. This report comes one day after the Prime Minister promised to deliver a snapshot of federal McCusker.
You don't want to know.
680 News Time, 1:51. Time for traffic and weather together all the ones. Here's Carrie Prunskis. This report is brought to you by Lexus of Richmond Hill. Well, it looks like the smoke is dissipating in the 400 and 407 area. Crews have been at a grass fire in this neighborhood. So traffic is still slow on the northbound 400 from Steeles up to the 407, but it looks like those delays are easing. Just a heads up, southbound 400 busier than usual from Highway 7 down to Steeles. Everybody was slowing because of the visual distraction with all that smoke in the air. Eastbound on the 407.